We asked Archabbot Kurt if he had any memorable stories from funerals, and there is one funeral that came to mind.
As we mentioned in the full episode, one of the monks used to make the monastery's caskets by hand. It got to a point where we were no longer able to do that, so we switched to using an abbey casket that is modeled after the one the monk was making. This story is when we first switched to using an abbey casket.
And fortunately, the situation was that there were not a lot of guests or relatives. Most of them were either too far away to come, or they were elderly themselves, or had died themselves. So it was a very limited number of people at the funeral.
Not many people came to the cemetery because there was a thunderstorm at the end of the funeral liturgy.
So as I recall, I was the prior and the master of ceremonies then, and it was only the abbot and myself and maybe another assistant or two, and the 6 monks that were the pallbearers, and then the funeral director.
The casket was taken to the cemetery in the hearse to help try to keep everyone dry.
Okay, our monks, our 6 pallbearers, hook up the rails with the ropes, and they, set it over there on top of the empty grave and getting ready to do the various prayers. And I'm looking at this, trying to pay attention to the abbot to make sure he's saying the prayers and all that. I'm also trying to make sure things are being done the right way. And I'm looking at this casket sitting over this empty hole, and I'm saying, something doesn't look right. Something doesn't look right.
A couple minutes go by, the prayers are finished, the planks are taken away that are holding up the casket, and they begin to lower it to the ground.
And this was a new design. First time we had ever done this new design in the cemetery. And as it turned out, the casket was about 1.5 inches wider on each side than it should have been.
The grounds crew was called, and within a couple of minutes they arrived and carefully enlarged the grave, and the casket was lowered into the ground.
I remember standing there under an umbrella of the funeral director saying, well, gosh, I guess you've been doing this for 15, 16 years? And he said, yeah, that's about right. And I said, well, what's the most unusual thing that's ever happened to you at a cemetery? And he said, this would have to be it. So since then, of course, we have double-checked the width and the length of all of our graves.